This is the Intercity 2, one of the newest additions to the German railway's long-distance fleet. But it's not without its flaws. Based on a design for a regional train, and with many Germans calling it uncomfortable, is this train really as bad as it seems? Let's find out as I take you on a journey diving into all the details of this new train from Bremen to Hannover. Our journey begins in Germany's 11th largest city, Bremen, and its main station, or Hauptbahnhof. The station can easily be reached by the city's tram or bus network, stopping right in front of the main station building. But of course, we are here to catch one of Germany's most controversial trains, so let's head inside the station building. The first railway station in Bremen opened in 1847, roughly on this location. However, the current building is roughly from the 1880s and has gone through many renovations and upgrades since. Complemented by lots of other food outlets, shops and other amenities, this is another one of Germany's well-preserved grand main stations that have been nicely maintained over the years to keep up with modern needs without destroying the historic works of the railways. While this is unfortunately one of Germany's main stations without a model railway, it does still have a full-scale ticket office, and next to the McDonald's you'll also find some luggage storage. And a small shopping complex on the opposite side of the main building. Most platforms are accessed by stairs, but there are lifts available for every platform. As my train is not for another 40 minutes, we can instead observe some of the varied traffic that also serve the station, such as the Regio S-Bahn operating frequent suburban services in and out of the city region. Metronome operate the hourly regional and regional express trains to Hamburg with their iconic yellow and blue double-decker trains. The station also sees a lot of long-distance ICE services, such as this original ICE1 train heading to Passau. Or what might be one of the shortest ICE trips, Bremen to Hannover non-stop. However, our train to Hannover is the slightly slower intercity service bound for Cottbus. Our train arrives inbound from Emden, Außenhafen on time. Our train is being pushed by a Bombardier Trax locomotive capable of speeds of up to 160 km per hour, with the carriages being part of Bombardier's Twindexx family of double-decker trains. And you'd be forgiven for thinking these look very similar to many of Germany's regional trains, and well, that's because they basically are the same trains. So, let's head on board and see what these trains are like. I'm traveling in first class today, which is located towards the front of the train. Deutsche Bahn is still one of the better operators in Europe, not forcing you to make a seat reservation on most long-distance journeys. But however, today I have elected to optionally reserve seat number 121. And just as I've settled in my seat, our train starts moving a minute behind schedule at 14:10. And as we begin our journey and navigate our way out of Bremen, it's time for us to have a look at the route map for today's journey. We are on board Intercity 2431, which has come from Emden, Außenhafen to here at Bremen Hauptbahnhof. We continue onwards, making stops at Verden, Nienburg and then Hannover Hauptbahnhof, which is as far as I'll be traveling. The distance to Hannover is 122 kilometers, which we'll cover in an hour and 4 minutes, giving the train an average speed of 114 kilometers per hour. Afterwards, the train continues to Cottbus. And as we speed towards Hannover, it's time to talk about the main criticism of this train. which is the seats are not good enough for a long distance product. But they still have all the amenities I'd expect on an ICE, like a drinks holder, a storage net. There's a big tray table, which even extends to fit a laptop. There's a small bin, a power outlet, another small table, and the seats themselves are actually pretty comfortable. The ergonomic design is good, and there's a good amount of padding. The bigger issue I would say is luggage space, as the overhead racks on double-deckers are tiny, but you will find some space under the seat in front, with any larger luggage having to go in the racks by the stairs. So while the seats in first class are not uncomfortable per se, they're just not as good as the ones found on regular ICE trains despite doing similar long journeys. And I can also see where the criticism comes from, especially as I took a regional train from Ulsen to Magdeburg a few months later and it had very similar seats. Around 20 minutes after leaving Bremen, we approach our first intermediate stop, Verden, a small town with about 30,000 inhabitants. Which I, especially as a Danish person, find kinda funny, because the word Verden in Danish basically translates to the entire world. And as we get going again, I think it's about time we go take a look at the rest of the train's interior. The trains are equipped with modern amenities such as wayfinding screens like this. First class is laid out in the expected 1+2 layout, and by the stairs is where you'll find the luggage space as shown earlier. Continuing down, we get to where the locomotive is pulling our train. And if somebody bothered to clean the window sometime, we might have even been able to see it. But instead, we can take a look at the toilet. Locking the door is as simple as turning this knob. The toilet is looking clean, and it's stocked with toilet paper. We got working water, a clean sink. The soap dispenser is working. So, overall, this is a pretty good job. Continuing on, we can go and have a look at second class, which comes in this expected 2+2 layout, and again you can see there's lots of luggage racks here because of the small overhead racks. But even in this case, you still get spillage into the corridors, as double-deckers like this just aren't that well suited for bigger bags commonly found on longer distance services. Each carriage has one bike spot, except for the accessible carriage I'll show a bit later. And if you're wondering what the comfort is like in second class, it's pretty good. You get basically the same amenities, just in a slightly more denser layout. The seats remain comfortable, it's well padded and definitely good enough for journeys up to about 3-4 hours I'd say. Second class on the upper floor is largely identical to the ones on the lower floor. And towards the front of the train is where you will find the accessible carriage, which allows for level boarding when platform heights allow. Here you'll also find space for bikes and baby buggies, as well as the accessible toilet. Back at my seat, we are now approaching our second intermediate stop at Nienburg. And as we depart for Hannover, I think it's about time we talk about my thoughts on this train. While the train is decently comfortable for a short journey like this, in many ways it just feels like a regular regional train that has got a carpet installed and a white instead of red livery, and now Deutsche Bahn can charge the premium fare for long distance tickets on what really is just a regional train. The second class seats are possibly ever so slightly better than their regional counterparts, while first class is close to identical, and considering these trains in their Intercity version get sent on journeys of upwards of 8 to 11 hours, I'm not really sure that this is adequate. And now, as we're getting closer to Hannover, it's time to talk about tickets. Tickets vary based on demand and time of booking, with the cheapest fare in second between Bremen and Hannover starting at €13 or €24 in first, so book ahead online on the Deutsche Bahn website for the best deal. However, as I was traveling on an Interrail pass, I could just jump on the train and optionally make a seat reservation. So here, as we pull into Hannover Hauptbahnhof 2 minutes behind schedule, I can definitely understand why these trains are so disliked among rail-interested people in Germany. While there really isn't anything super wrong with the train, as it's pretty smooth, quiet and somewhat comfortable, it just really isn't up to the standards associated with long-distance IC and ICE trains in Germany, and that's a shame. So what are your thoughts on the IC2? Let me know in the comments down below. And as usual, if you want more videos like this, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, as I try to post a new one every Sunday. You can also follow me over on Twitter at Intercity Simon. I usually post live from my travels over there, so it's a great place to get a sneak peek at what videos might be coming to the channel in the future. Thanks for watching.